trying to free your mind, Neo, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it. You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind.
This is the Mind is Mine podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, happy Super Bowl Sunday, episode 20, with a long-awaited guest. We've been waiting for this for a very long time. I don't think y'all been waiting for this, but it's a special occasion. I got my shades on. I'm looking fly. My guest is looking fly. Speaking of my guest, we got the one and only, the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith, also known as Bruce Wayne, Batman. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, bro. I'm doing great. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, sir.
Finally, we able to find the right time, right circumstances, and right before the Super Bowl kickoff. Why not have a great conversation?
Hey, man, speaking to the mic.
Hey, Mike.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, feel free to, however you want to hold the mic.
Okay.
You know, that's up to you, bro. So, but yeah, y'all can see we're looking ultra fly. He had the glasses on, so I was like, I might as well match that energy. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna take these off because it's very dark in here. So, Ozzie, how you doing on Super Bowl Sunday? I think it's not really a coincidence that we do this on a Super Bowl Sunday, knowing that you are a football guy yourself.
Well, I'm a little salty my Rams ain't playing, but, you know, I love football. I appreciate the game and the competitive nature, and, you know, just football brings folks together. So, irregardless, you know, I have to see two teams that I really don't care for play. But, hey, it's all good, you know.
I mean, you're amongst the majority on that opinion, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So all the fans of football just salty, just watching these two teams play. Hey, I'm salty too. I got some extra fries in the bag right now. But it's all good, man. I'm grateful to be a part of you know, seeing a three-peat of a team going there 3 years in a row, and so it's pretty cool to see.
Yes, sir.
Word to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Patty Mahomey. He's not my homie, but Patty Mahomey. So first of all, man, you are a shaman.
Yes.
You are a trainer.
Yes.
You are Mr. Smoothie on Wheels himself, Mr. 360 of Health himself. You are also a keynote speaker. What can you? You're also an author. What can't you do?
Sometimes I just can't say no to the right circumstance and the right situation. So that's what I can't do. But hey man, we can do it all as long as we put the right mindset, the right attitude toward whatever it is that we want to do. So just do it. You know, words to Nike, just do it. And yeah, and it's interesting that you say, hey man, you're this, you're that, you're that. I really don't like to confine myself to being, you know, just one thing. Like, oh, I'm a personal trainer. I'm a shaman. There's a lot of things that I would love to be able to do and just learn and kind of dive into. And so I just decided, you know, I'm just going to do that. And so I really don't care to just be in one space in life. It really confines you and put you in a specific type of category. And
Agreed.
So, yeah, don't box yourself in. Just do a little bit of everything. And, you know, if it works out for you, cool. If it doesn't work out for you, at least you did it. And so, yes, I am a shaman. As far as with a shaman, I explain a bit what shamanism is to those who either one have not heard of what a shaman is, or just if you just don't have like a clear, crisp understanding. So a shaman essentially is a mediator between the mundane world and the spirit world. Typically, this shaman is a person who has been called by the spirits to go through some different trials and tribulations to be able to transform themselves with the elixir of medicine, to be able to bring that back into the world to help those who have sicknesses, whether that be a physical ailment, a mental sickness, some type of dis-ease, a flow of energy.
Dis-ease.
Yeah, hey, we talk and we move too fast in this world, and there's words like disease. They say it's a sickness, but when you slow down a bit, dis-ease, things always should be easy and flowing. And so when you don't have that essential flow, that's where you put the dis in the front of it. And so. So me as a shaman, I didn't come from a tribe. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I've lived in America. And essentially, I kind of realized that I am, word to the internet, I'm grateful for it. I had to do some research. I'm like, what the hell is going on with me? There's some mystical, kind of scary things happening, but I can definitely tell God is in the mix of it. And I did some research to figure out, am I the only one experiencing this? And kind of realized I was right smack in the middle of essentially a shamanic test, if you will. And test may not be the best word. It'll come to me in a moment. But essentially a rites of passage. There we go.
Yes.
I was going through some rites of passage. And, life was pulling me here, taking me there, taking away things, giving me things, and really was just showing me a lot about who I am as far as within my lineage and where things are to go from here. And so within that, it really took me to a journey, right? And which I talk about in my book, A Journey of Becoming a Hero. Now available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Yes, indeed. We are official. Well, you are official, but I mean,
hey,
yeah,
we're a community, man. Hey, and so within this journey, I was able to extract out some pretty cool things, man. A lot I learned about myself, a lot what I learned about the world. And then how I'm able to be essentially a mediator between the spiritual world and the mundane world. And, the training is still ongoing right now. And
as always, that's life.
Of course. Hey, it's never done.
Yeah.
Words Kobe. The job ain't done yet.
Yeah, job's not finished.
The job's not finished. And so when the job is finished, you'll know when the job is finished because you won't be here anymore. And so it continues to go and grow, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, indeed, bro. And our friendship is going on 5 years now. And when I met you, I was going through that rite of passage of recognizing the deeper sense of who I am, not just on a physical level, but on a psychological level, on an emotional level, and most importantly, a spiritual level. And the timing in which you came into my life was perfect because you, along with Maliki, were like the two accountability partners that I had to keep me locked in towards this shift in my life, figuring out who I am and what I wanted to do with my life and what my purpose was. And looking back on that literally 5 years later, I can say that I am walking in my purpose, and y'all have been nothing but a fantastic help for me. And you have maintained the ability to not only be a great friend, a great brother, but also a great accountability partner. So again, I appreciate you for every step of the way within my journey, and however I could have done that for you. I'm very blessed that I had the opportunity to do that for you and also participate in this brotherhood that we have. So,
thank you for the edification.
Of course.
No, that's awesome. I remember actually when we met. For a lot of you don't know, we were working at Club Fitness together. I moved back home here to St. Louis during the pandemic, and I was like, well, let me just get me a little job here at the gym because I live in the gym. I'm a gym rat. They gotta kick me out sometimes, so I said I might as well get paid to be here. And you were on vacation. And
yeah,
so
man.
within my first week or two of working there, I didn't see you. And then one day you came in and it was just like too comfortable. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I thought you were a new guy. I'm like, this guy's just coming here doing his own thing. He's like, oh no, he he's been on vacation. He just got back, and immediately we hit it off. I think you were just showing me like some conspiracy theories and just different things on the phone, and the conversations would just go up. And I'm like, and you were pretty young at the time. I believe you were 22.
I just turned 21.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So I turned 21 the December prior, and when we met was August of 2020. So
your memory is impeccable, boss.
I mean, hey, I kind of blame that to the autism, but neurodivergent.
Shout out to the spectrum.
Hashtag Spectrum. But no, this is not sponsored by Spectrum by any means at all. So let's not get, if you do want to sponsor me, I don't have your services, but I mean, I'll take the paycheck. But yeah, just reflecting on that time. I mean, that was a pretty difficult time for the collective, going through the pandemic and going through that shift. But I was literally yesterday, and we can talk about more about yesterday because I obviously brought that up earlier today. Just going through a full circle moment of, in the moment, going through that whole period of learning and trials and tribulations, there's a lot of times where you question if you're in the right spot and thinking that things should have went this way or should have went that way. And it's not till sometimes years later that you reflect and you're like, man, things went exactly according to plan. Even if you didn't know the entire game plan, you went through exactly what you needed to go through. And I don't want to go too deep on my journey just yet because I want you to explain like how that is reminiscent of your journey, because you coming back to St. Louis just recently and a couple months ago, we both knew how big of a full circle moment that was, because it was that moment of acceptance of, I have to come back home and I'm needed at home. And I'm feeling that as well. You know, even like I moved to Puerto Rico back in 2022 because I wanted to be away from here. And you moved to Phoenix back in 2021 because you wanted to be away from here. And now we're back in St. Louis and we understand, and we're finally realizing that the amount of opportunity, the creativity, the immense sense of community and unity that we can have with the people here is just something that we didn't see nor realize at that time period. So what has it been like coming back home from that long journey of being in Phoenix, coming back home for a little bit, being in Phoenix again, and now being here?
Absolutely. So first off, I'm grateful for God just being able to keep me protected and safe, you know, while I'm just still in the midst of this this journey, right? Because essentially, like, my blinders are on right now, or during that time, and I'm traveling and I'm just trying to figure out my life and figure out my reasoning and my reasoning of being here. And so in the midst of all the chaos and whatnot, I did have a deep knowing, hey, I'll come home when I'm ready. And that sense of readiness for me was having a sense of success of what the world looks at as far as success. It's like, then I'll come back and I'll share the medicine. And I didn't came to realize that when Spirit brought me back home to St. Louis, I was ready. For me, just looking at my life, I'm like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm like, I am ready because I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. And so within that, I just had to learn to kind of sit a little bit more in that sense of trust in regards to, you know, sometimes you got to be pushed out there a bit to kind of realize that, hey, it's time. You know, you've been in this kiddie pool for a while. You got to hop in the deep end.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I see a little smirk on your face. I'll probably bring it up eventually, or I know you'll bring it up, but a part of my rites of passage, a part of our rites of passage as a shaman is you have to experience death. And I drowned at 11 years old. And I often make jokes about it.
Now he's dripping.
Oh yeah.
So real case of drip and drown.
Hey man, honestly, it's a blessing to be able to go through some things and come back from it. And because the wisdom, the humility that's extracted from it, the strength, life just keeps on going. And you kind of realize that a lot of things that you experience in life really is not for you. It's for the next person. And so you can take that sense of strength, knowledge, wisdom, experience. Someone's going to be going through something very similar, may not be the same, but very similar to you. And it's about, because you made it through that, you have to give that back now. And that's also why I feel like why we both hit it off originally, just as friends, as brothers, as accountability partners, is because I saw something in you where it's like, oh, I can easily give this off to him, and because he's open and willing to receive whatever sense of guidance or knowledge or simply just assistance, in his own sense of trial and error in life. And so once that happened, it was just like boom. And I really tried to, we all have an ego to a degree. And my ego was like, oh yeah, I'm his teacher. And then you start teaching me. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, this guy actually has some things to teach me. And I had to humble myself a moment and kind of realize that, you know what? Just as much as you have something to give, someone has something to give for you also. And that's okay. And so, hey, I'm definitely grateful for such experience. I think I got off topic a bit. What was the original question that you were asking me?
I think just the original question was like this full circle moment of reflecting back on everything that you went through.
Absolutely.
Coming back to St. Louis and how that feels.
Yes. So I'm a businessman. And so a big part of it was working on my different businesses, Smoothies on Wheels. It's
shout out to Smoothie on Wheels.
Shout out to Smoothies on Wheels. It's a food truck, but for smoothies and healthy foods. And it's been a work in progress for some years, but it's not just a typical business. And so I want to put a little bit more time into it before I do like a official launch, as well as 360 degrees of health. More to come about that.
That's still in its infancy too, as well.
Oh man, if anything, I wanted to start that in Arizona, but it's needed here.
That's what I was thinking, bro. When you said, when you were thinking about that, I'm like, who is doing like major smoothie work here in St. Louis? Because I feel like in Arizona and out west in general, that's a big market for a vegan type of lifestyle. Of course. That's already really pushed in the West. Being pushed here in the Midwest, though, you don't see that much.
It's needed here.
Yes.
And so I think that was a big part of me kind of not having the general sense of success within that business out there on the West Coast, simply because it was like not only that the competition was also doing the same things that I was doing, but Spirit's like, no, we need you over here. Mm-hmm. They got it going over there, but we need you over here. And so I'm like, okay, well, understanding that there's a lot of sunlight, a lot of vitamin C, vitamin D, a lot of vibrancy on the West Coast, and people take care of themselves a lot differently out there. Now in the Midwest, it gets a little colder, the vibes change a bit. And so within that, the sense of health and nutrition is always going to be a bit different. And there's no beaches here in Missouri. And so people are not going to take, you got like Mission Beach or something like that, Lake of the Ozarks. That's a man-made beach, but that's, so people aren't going to have as much of a sense of pride when it comes to taking care of their physical body, or when I say taking care of the physical body, I mean in regards of like kind of working out and showing off their body and having that pride in how they look. And nutrition is right along with it. And so within that, it's like we're in a crisis right now in America. And Obesity is like at an all-time high, and it's getting higher.
You bringing that up, I swiped on somebody's story. Subway, you know how Subway's doing like the foot-long cookies? Bro, they're doing a foot-long Oreo cookie. So like it's the chocolate chip cookie, I believe, and then it has the Oreo icing and then the crumbs on top of it. And I'm like, I love Oreos. Don't get me wrong, but that looks absolutely disgusting.
America, put the cookies and the Oreos down. Like, do better. Better.
As much as some of y'all wanna praise RFK, he can't be the savior in terms of your health. You got to take accountability on that. Speak more on that, expert.
Of course. I mean, we have to call me an expert, but I'll tell you what I know. So, and it kind of bridges to 360 degrees of health. My ideal of health is not just about you having a healthy physical body. So going to the gym and, being strong and being able to run and still have a decent cardiovascular health to you. Now that's one sector of health, and that's great. But you also have a lot of different areas of your health which also affects your being, like your mental health, your sleep health, your financial health. There's so many different things where you can take account in, and you can have more so of a general sense of wellness to yourself if you put that attention into it, while also if there's more platforms out there that actually gains you access to those areas, so you can be able to increase that vitality into your own life. And so that's exactly what my ideal is. I saw the problem and I was like, okay, Spirit, how can I be a help to the solution of it? We need to bring all these areas into these different modalities into one space versus it being so far reaching and all stretched out. And then I think there's just a miseducation on when it comes to health. A lot of times people think health, automatically they think working out. And one thing about working out, just move your body. I'm a gym rat. I love the gym for reasons other than being healthy. I just love being able to move my body, and I'm grateful for being able to do so in such a way that I'm blessed to do so, right? Although exercise, is just simply moving your body. Just move your body for about 10 minutes a day. And it shakes up energy so you can be able to kind of move around some stagnancy in your life, and it definitely pays you back. And so, but just don't stop there.
No.
Eat the foods that you need to eat for you, not this fad diet that you saw on Instagram or in a People's Magazine.
I would love to talk more about the influences on social media and just how now it's just getting so confusing because people are feeling like
is an influencer nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You get a phone, you get a mic, and they're like, oh yeah, I did a couple of push-ups, I got a pump, now I go ahead and hit record and tell everybody, oh, you need to do exactly what I'm doing because look at me, and it's honestly it's bullshit. Excuse me, I don't know if you curse on the podcast or not, but
no, it is bullshit.
Oh snap! But it is, man, because it gives people an unrealistic idea of like what they should be doing, and we all are opening up our phones and getting these false dopamine hits, and from Instagram, from TikTok, whatever it be. And a lot of this influencer nation that we're seeing right now is a lot of times it's just for the show. People
You're just trying to project yourself onto other people.
Absolutely. And that's just kind of an issue within itself. And so within that, I implore you all to do your research. Don't just sit there and kind of be fed information. Go out there and do your own research. Do your own trial so you can understand what works for you, because what works for you may not work for me, and it may not work for them. And so you have to be able to figure out what works for you and figure out what it is that your spirit needs. Which is another thing which I want to go into is how we talk to ourselves. How you speak to yourself really does influence the results of. Well, I'm not going to say influence it. It directly correlates to
that's your direct karma.
Exactly. To exactly what it is you're going to experience in life. So if you say, "Oh, I can't do this," well, you can't do it because you just said you can't do it.
You're a guy living on this earth, and your words materialize in some way, shape, or form that aligns with that energy. So if you say one thing, just know that energy is going to revisit you in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. Word to one of my mentors, Shaman. He calls himself not like a blacksmith, but a wordsmith. And so he's always on somebody's ass about how they're speaking, because how you speak, like I said, is going to directly correlate to whatever it is that you're manifesting through your speech, even through your thoughts, kind of entangled with those emotions. And so when it comes to things that you may not realize what you need, you just got to learn how to articulate that in a way that it works out for you. So I'll just give an example. Hey, spirit, give me the sustenance that my body needs for this current moment. Once I have that sustenance, make me yawn 3 times. Now those yawnings will be the confirmation. Our body is quite literally a spaceship, man. It is. We're a spirit within this this biological spacesuit, this meat suit that we're in. We're just on borrowed time, and the essence which is within us is more so what's actually running the show. We have to learn how to work in tandem with this body that we have, because it works for us, not against us, unless we make it work against us. But that's a whole nother podcast, which I'm willing and ready to talk about also.
Yeah, bro. I know we're going to have like 5 parts in terms of this. So we just got to pace ourselves, honestly, because like I said, we've been brothers for 5 years. So much has happened in the last 5 years. To the point, another full circle moment is that at the time when I first met you, you were the age that I am now. So it's interesting to see that. Like now I'm kind of stepping into like the era in which you were beginning when we first met.
For sure.
Obviously I'm gonna go about that in my own way, but it's dope to see that you're in a position where your friends were at a certain point, even if it just means your age and stepping into a certain era, because I believe like when we met, that was kind of the start of something new in my life, and that was a spiritual journey. So I want to, we can talk about health all day, but in terms of the health that I really want to touch on is the importance behind spiritual health, because that's what Mine is Mine is about. It's not just about mental health, but it's about spiritual health, and understand that when you get past the mental health part of things, your biggest realization should be that the mind is literally the tool of my existence. It is not the totality of my existence. And I think when we add on to that way of thinking that the mind is the totality of our existence, then is the root of our being, that's where we can go wrong. That's where we can start going through these long periods of suffering and depression, because we label and attach ourselves with the mind, and the mind is connected with the subconscious. Subconscious doesn't know what's real and what's fake. So essentially you're affirming different ideas that may be true and may not be true at all. So you're on this whole spectrum of just going back and forth, and the law of rhythm is a perfect way to describe that. Once you get your mental health in check, or at least trend in that right direction, and recognize the mind is only a tool, you're in a better position in your life to neutralize yourself on a certain place in a certain area on that spectrum, rather than just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Shout out to Kanye West. I'm sure he knows what that feels like. But
Shots fired.
yeah, man, I'm sorry. I love his music, but yeah, what happened the other day is just like
12-hour rant, bro.
It turns out it was like 15, 17 straight. I don't know if the man slept. I don't know if the man ate, but we're not here to talk about that. But I do want to go deeper into what made you go into shamanism? What was that moment where you were like, I need to really focus on this way of life and I'm called for this? What was the moment of realization that you were called for this?
Well, it was just that. It was a calling. It started off as a calling at first. Me being from St. Louis, I played football in high school, and the NFL was my direction. So I didn't have necessarily the grades and such to do it. So by the time I went to college at Missouri Western, I was going to do the red shirting and yada, yada, yada. Didn't work out that way. And but I know I've always wanted to move to Arizona. Now, that was the seed that God planted in my head. I was like, I'm going to go to ASU, and then from there, I'm going to play for the Cardinals or for the Rams or something like that.
He wanted it to be the Rams. Let's stop playing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if I played for the Cardinals, I was going to get a trade to the Rams like the second week or something like that.
Oh, me, bro, signed the contract. He was like, trade me.
Now. I'm dropping all these balls.
And a signing bonus, please.
And so, yeah, man, there was a calling there.
Yeah, big pause. Whoa.
No Diddy.
Whoa.
No, that's wild, bro. I had to catch myself on it, but no, you were late, bro. Next time.
I got you. Next time I'll be on time.
Yeah, right on. Appreciate that. But, man, it was a calling. And I didn't realize it was a calling until everything starts to go awry. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Nothing's working now and yada, yada, yada. And I hit a rock bottom. I was actually still in the town that I went to college in. Living there, not going to school, just kind of, I want to say living as a bum, but hey, fuck it. I was living as a bum. I was staying with family and just, working a dead end job, but like trying to figure out why am I not happy, man? I was like depressed and all different types of things. But I got to a point where I came up with a plan where I said, I want to get my sense of the sense of happiness, this vibrancy that I know I have back. And so I just started to just do things that I just felt like I should do. And I didn't realize I was just being led by God, my spirit the entire time. I was talking to myself a lot differently. I never really was a negative self-talk person, but I was like doubling down on reinforcing like those positive thoughts and just
affirmations. Yeah,
exactly. And some said, okay, what are we going to do right now? So I said, okay. I took out a notepad. Actually, I was at a homie's crib, and the street he stayed on, it was like a dead end street, and it's in the middle of the summer. I just remember just being out in the middle of the street, sitting in the street just with my notepad, and like, what am I good at right now? So I wrote down a few things, and I remembered I was working a job at in college where I was making smoothies. Essentially, it was a little convenience store and had a kitchenette attached to it. And so I would sell groceries to the college students as well as make pizzas and smoothies. And man, I was really good at making smoothies, like to a degree where people would come there and be like, yeah, I want a smoothie only if Ozzie's working or only if Ozzie is making it. And I'm like, what's so special about me? And so it's kind of stuck to the back of my head. So by the time I was writing these things down, I wrote that down and it just blew up in my head. Smoothie business. Just do like a smoothie truck or something like that. Just add your own flavor to it though. And but something said, but don't do it here. Like I really want to be in Arizona. And before I know it, somehow, way, shape, or form, I committed to it. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna make it happen. I don't care if I gotta walk my ass to Arizona. Somehow, things just planned out so well for me. You know, I had family there, just so happened to move there a year prior in the city that I planned on moving to. I had a really good job working insurance. I didn't care about insurance at all. I just was using it as, really just kind of like as an ability to get from here to there. And so I was like, I want to work in this job for about a year and get some good, what's the word I want to use here? I wanted them to trust me that I can be able to still work for the company and, but move to a different area and still work for the company. Mm-hmm. So I did that. And
so just transferring pretty much. Okay.
I wanted them to trust me that I can transfer. And so I was working on the corporate side, and it just so happens that it's only 3 corporate offices. And I won't say the company that I was working for, but one being in St. Joseph, Missouri, one in Madison, Wisconsin, and you guessed it, the last one in Phoenix. So, boom, made some things happen, made some phone calls, talked to my boss. She made a phone call or two, and they're like, hey, they're literally forming a new team there. They just need one more person. I said, oh, yeah, say less. 2 weeks later, I'm on a plane. And that's where it started. And now from there, I've always loved the mountains. I've never been hiking until I was in Arizona, but I've always wanted to be in the mountains and just do that whole thing. And again, like I said, I'm a health nut. And so I'm like, yeah, if I can get out there and just kind of do the things I see on TV and I would just thrive doing that. And it got to a point where things started to kind of get dark again. I was like being led to just doing different things. I'm like, this is kind of weird. I feel like I'm being breadcrumbed right now. Like you see in the cartoons where it's like a dog.
Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy.
Not realizing that somebody right in front of you putting out this candy, but you keep looking at the next piece. And
talking about something.
And he gets the last one. Like, hey, what's the rest of the candy? It end up in the whole box. That's exactly what happened. I was like, hold on, and I did some research and came to realize, hold on, I'm right in the midst of a shamanic rite of passage. And I did a lot of bit more research. And I came to realize that my experience when I drowned at 11 years old was actually the true rites of passage. I'm at just this points now. I'm just kind of going through some tests and trials, but this is a calling right now. Spirit saying, "Hey, come over here. Come, I got something for you." And so I accepted that calling, and just the transformation just immediately started. And through that transformation, it really was just I had to go back into my own past. And understanding my traumas and understanding just different things that I've gone through and how it actually affects and plays out into the collective of the rest of my life as well as others. And so I learned not just about myself, but about the others around me and how it all plays in tandem together. Before I knew it, I trusted that calling and just dove right into the rabbit hole from there. And man, it's been great ever since. It's definitely not something for the faint-hearted. Although it's something I wouldn't even blink twice if I known then what I know now to dive into that calling. I would say, heck yeah, I'm there now. And so that's essentially where it started. Again, like I said, traditionally, I didn't come up in a tribe of a shaman. Definitely it's got to be in my lineage, but it's something where, it may have skipped a few generations, and spirit say, yeah, this is the next one. And so we're going to go ahead and kind of like prepare him without scaring him. And when he's ready, we'll go ahead and, snatch him up. And, yeah, that's exactly what it. And I don't want it to sound, all spooky and scary. Hey, in shamanism,
it's uncomfortable for sure.
Yeah, well, one of the first things that as a shaman that you learn is understanding that everything is it's a spirit, and everything is living. So within it, it has a spirit within it. And so I was interacting with the world, man. I was like understanding, like, man, this rock right here has a very reasoning, for being this tree right here, and then
Point at the rock. I see you.
I see you, big dog. Like, I appreciate you.
Talk about give you the fist right back to you.
Yeah. I'm like, no, at that point in time, that's definitely probably some drugs.
Talking about some appreciate it.
Somebody look at me like, you good, man? There's literally no rock there. I'm just like, but yeah, man, it's now fast forward 5-6 years now. And, the trials are still going, still learning through some things. And actually the very point that I'm at now was actually Spirit told me to step away from shamanism and to dive into a few other things right now. And which is kind of weird because I was like, man, I feel like I'm, learning a lot, getting so far. And it's like, you want me to step away from it now? And I came up as a Christian, actually. So I'm currently, just living my life as a Christian at this point in time. And one thing I'm learning and understanding is everything is just one and the same, and just a different understanding to its own coin. And that's okay. And, just have to step away from things and learn from a different perspective, which when you go back to, what you're doing, it'll have a bit more understanding and power for you there. And so, hey, that's where I'm at right now. I'm actually a born again Christian, going to a born again church, and man, it's definitely interesting. I think me coming up as a kid going to the church because your parents have made you go and stuff like that, and I really didn't like it. Just like
I'd rather be outside right now.
Man, I love nature. Like, nature is my church, and I just be out there quiet and just have an understanding that, like, how I should treat people and move. And I'll read my Bible here and there, but I was never really one of those Bible beater type of people. And yeah, at the same time, I never really kind of pushed them away. I just always had an understanding that for me, they're just like a balance, but like a cutoff, where it's like I'll learn from others and take some of their teachings, but I just know where to cut it off for me. And essentially it's like eating the chicken and spitting out the bones, and I'll just spit out the bones and take whatever else that is necessary for me. And so it's interesting that now I'm back in that particular area. It's like, now you gotta eat this chicken again and spit out the bones, but it's like with a whole different perspective. I'm no longer a 10, 15-year-old boy. I'm a 31-year-old man. And
damn.
Hey, feeling great. 31 is a great number. And
my bad.
Oh no, you good. You good, man.
I saw my opportunity.
You took it, man. Hey.
I mean, you shout out to Kobe. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take,
that
and I
fact.
just Larry Bird now.
Yeah. And so to pretty much wrap that up, man. Yeah, things have been coming full circle, and I'm actually feeling like I'm right on the crevice of diving into that rabbit hole again. And it's essentially like, well, this training is done, and now it's to go into this next phase. And eventually I know that, get to a point where like the more that you have confidence in who you are, the more that you'll be given to essentially kind of work through.
Yeah.
And I'm getting away from using the word work. Just, I don't really like the energy behind it, but to be able to process through, you have more tools. I'll have more tools on my tool belt. And so within that, I'm able to work. I'm able to process my way through new situations or older situations that
lead.
There you go. I like that. Lead through different situations that I previously didn't have the necessary tools on my tool belt to be able to get through with ease. And so, hey man, it's all a work in progress. a work in progress is not bad. I like that one, but it's a work
That's
in
cool.
progress.
It's part of the process.
Yeah, it really is a part of the process, and so you just gotta kind of charge it to the game and sit your ass in your seat and be a student. Always be a student in life, and it's definitely school time for me in life right now, for sure.
Indeed. I think one thing that we both realized on this journey in the last couple of years is that we kind of focused on that end goal too much to the point where we weren't being fully present with the process that we're going through. Like for me, I wanted to be in New York City for the longest, and there will be some cases in which I would try to force that to happen. But you got to understand, I think at the time I was young, so I didn't fully understand the full commitment that you need to have to move to a place like New York City. And you can't move there not knowing anybody, knowing that you have a purpose to know everybody and get in touch by everybody. So it really it broke down a lot of levels of illusion for me in these last couple of years of just like, I'm so focused on getting to that end goal. I can't worry about anything else but getting there. But you have to be present for you to get to that end goal. And if you're not present at all, you're not going to be able to finish anything. You're not going to be able to commit to anything. And commitment issues is one thing that I have struggled with before because, there were certain things that happened in my childhood that kind of made it scary for me to say, all right, bet I'm gonna commit to this. And also me being neurodivergent as well, I'm kind of built in with like wanting to do so much at one time. And I feel that I finally have gathered myself and said, what, like you said, what do I like right now? What can I do right now? What do I have the ability to do? Mine is Mine is not just a podcast, but I have the ability to do a podcast. And if Mine is Mine were to grow, I have to do what's necessary and what's available for me and for it at this moment for it to even grow. So every time I do a podcast, and once again, I appreciate you again for coming out. I'm finally we got this to happen. You're just watering the plants. You're watering that seed. And you never know. Like I never knew that I was going to get nominated for an award off of, at the time, just 16 episodes. And look at me now. Like I'm already nominated for an award from the beta of Mine is Mine. And I'm like, and that just, it's so gratifying to see that. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it's so gratifying to see that whenever you water a seed and a concept like that and allow it to grow, it's going to exceed your expectations, especially when that's in full alignment with your purpose or your purpose indefinitely.
Absolutely. And one thing I'll just add to it, don't be afraid to toot your own horn. People will watch you do great in life and they jealous ass won't even clap. They'll just be like,
true.
So it's absolutely okay to toot your own horn. Hey, folks out there, toot your own horn.
Beep beep.
Yeah, there you go. You can have like a train horn or the little bicycle horn, the pop out of Sailor Man little toot toot. But it's absolutely it's absolutely imperative that you acknowledge your success and your being and your well-being.
Yes.
You have to acknowledge it. Even if others clap for you, simply because they can be clapping for you and acknowledging that. But if you don't acknowledge it, what does it matter? So clap for yourself. Toot your own horn.
Yeah. I'm going to call that button tooting our own horn.
There you go. I like that.
But y'all have been seeing this book in the middle of the screen the entire time. We haven't talked about it. A Journey of Becoming a Hero by Mr. Ozzie Wheeler. Available on Amazon. Available Barnes & Noble. Before we go any deeper into the podcast.
And Kindle. And for those
And Kindle Fire.
For those who don't really read or know how to read, you can listen to it.
The old folks. But sorry, old folks, that's a stray. But you mind if I read the back real quick?
Of course, go ahead.
Do you want to read it or you want me to read it?
Yeah, let me do my narrative voice for you.
You want me to play some music in the background?
Yeah, please.
Okay, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to make this official, but before you start reading that, I want you to describe the moment in which you recognize that you wanted to write a book, because I know you wanted to write a book for the longest, but the idea...
I never wanted to write the book.
Oh.
Spirit said write the book. I'm like, no. And then eventually people start saying, you need to write a book. I'm like, shut up.
I don't want to.
Eventually it got to a point where I'm like, damn, I should really write a book. And I started on this book like 3 years ago. And honestly, I just not putting my effort toward it at all. And then just about a year and a half ago, it just dawned on me like I really was passionate about writing this book. I ended up finishing the book, and within 24 hours of me publishing it, I wrote 3 more books within that next 24 hours.
Oh, I remember that, bro. You were cooking.
Oh my word.
I was like, again?
And again.
Bro, it was literally the same energy when Kendrick kept dropping back-to-back disc records. It was literally back-to-back books with this man. I'm like, bro, this man is cooking. But
I'm going to get back to that for the rest.
yeah. Hey, I'm ready whenever you are, though.
Yeah, I was born ready. In a journey of becoming a hero, Shaman Ozzie Wheeler shares his personal experience of how he transcended his life of suffering to a life of joy and unconditional love. Ozzie's bravery and boldness teaches us how to walk through turmoil and step out of it wrapped in gold. His transformation is personal yet collective, making it safe for others to step out of the shadows and into the light through his sense of storytelling. Shamanic storytelling holds a profound power as it transcends mere entertainment, serving as a cultural and spiritual conduit. These narratives often intertwine with the indigenous belief systems, offering a unique blend of history, morality, and cosmology. By weaving tales that resonate with the collective consciousness, shamans foster a sense of community, transmit essential knowledge, and evoke deeper connection to nature and the divine. The potency lies in their ability to not only entertain, but to instill a profound sense of identity and purpose, reinforcing cultural values through the timeless art of storytelling. So essentially, just as, I read here.
That was a nice touch, wasn't it?
Thank you, man. That was smooth. That was
Yes,
smooth.
sir.
That was definitely a Shaq and Kobe vibe right now. That was a Shaq and Kobe vibe right there. Right on, bro.
Indeed.
But yeah, man, storytelling is powerful. It's powerful. You can get so much out of storytelling as far as for the audience and the listener. For example, earlier you were stating as far as moving to New York and you wanted to be able to get there, but you're thinking so much about the end game of it.
Yes.
And a story came to me immediately. And I was thinking of NFL. Word to Super Bowl Sunday. You got 20 weeks of football.
Kendrick even said he had that interview, and they were like, "What's one word to expect out of this halftime performance?" He said, "Storytelling."
Bars. So you have a player. He's like, I want to win the Super Bowl. I'm ready to win the Super Bowl. I can see myself there. And we already know where it's going to be, before the season starts. And I'm envisioning myself there. And that's good. You know where you want to be. You know where you want to go. And you know what requires to be there. But it's week 1, boss.
Yeah. You got a long road.
Because after week 1, there's week 2. But after week 2, there's week 3. See where I'm going with this?
After week 4, that's your bye week.
Hey. Then you're not even playing for a week.
Right.
And so there's a process that you have to respect. And you have to go through that process, through that journey from week 1 to week 18, week 20. And if you're lucky enough to make it through those last few weeks, you'll have to go through a trial to compete with some others who had the same vision as you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lucky enough to make it through that trial, then you'll be at the Super Bowl. But
Pro Bowl beforehand.
still got the Pro Bowl too. Excuse me. The very point I'm making here is storytelling is able to extract wisdom or an ideal based off of using something that's common that we can all agree upon and understand, which you can take that same wisdom and extract it to something else or use it for something else. That's one of the golden pleasures of shamanism is storytelling. Ancient times, these storytellings would be around the fire, and talking to the villagers about something, By the end of that story, somebody's probably going to be crying or laughing or very happy, whatever it may be. But through storytelling is a very powerful way of being able to pull in power, pull in wisdom, pull in understanding just simply through stories. And so I actually use my own true personal stories in this book. And so the reason why I did that way is because I did not want the book to be just like such a monotonous, drawn out story that people just have to just be like, oh, okay. I want it to be lit. So every chapter is going to be a little mini story about something that I've gone through or experienced and how I was able to get the wisdom out of that. And so maybe about the relationship with my father or the relationship with my mother or
that connection that you have with you and your pop spirit. We've joked about it plenty of times.
Yeah. Hey, so
it's pretty funny.
My father wasn't there. He was
What up, Pops?
Well, it was popping. My pops wasn't there as far as like growing up in the household. But his spirit's always been with me. He died when I was 15 years old. And I feel like that disconnection, from him kind of leaving here actually made us a lot more closer because I had like a little more of a deeper understanding of the whys of him not being there. And, it started to grow on me a lot. And so, like I said, I don't want to tell you too much and spoil a bit. I want you to open that book up and take a look at it. And hopefully, maybe, I'm sure it will, you'll have an understanding of like how me telling my story can support your story in your life. Through just kind of using the elixir of the medicine that I've extracted.
Elixir.
Yeah.
Okay, we coming out with the big words today.
Yeah. Oh man, I got two more written on my hand. I'm ready to spit.
This is Mr. Etymology himself. If anything, you were the main person that brought so much more awareness and importance to etymology and the studying behind the words in which we use, especially behind the cursed language that is the English language.
Absolutely.
So many twists and turns, so many misconceptions, so many.
You mean there.
two.
I like what you did there. That's cool.
Yeah, that's my number.
Yeah. Yeah, man. This English language, and not just English, but as far as with us knowing, it's definitely a trap when it comes to using our God-given ability to speak manifestations into this canvas of a world, because we aren't using the proper words to be able to get the result that we're looking for. We don't realize what we're doing until sometimes we have to, be told otherwise by someone who's more so understanding.
Or even the repercussions of the consequences in which we set forth.
Yeah, well, hey, but still, a lot of times people will just keep on doing the same thing. A lot of people are insane. They keep
True.
doing the same thing and they'll expect a different result. And a lot of our insanity comes from the words we use and how we're placing our words together in these bunches that we call sentences. And until we learn that, we'll still get the same results that we see.
Yeah, man. Just know that the certain sentences that you use will keep you locked into a life sentence. I'm sorry, I had to. Oh my God,
Bro, you might as well go ahead and just turn the Pro Tools on and hit 7.
On me, hey. As soon as we finally got this thing up and rolling, I knew that bars will be spat, and that's exactly what's happening right now. One thing I want to talk about in the book, you are a big fan. It's a journey of becoming a hero. In other words, the hero's journey. Yes. You are very big on the hero's journey. I'm very big on the hero's journey.
Absolutely.
And we have talked about a rites of passage many times on this podcast. I'm actually, word to all my viewers, I am working on another short video, a little reel. It is talking about rites of passage, the importance of rite of passage that should be done by this week. It's been going on since ancient times. Oh, you say you done with the glasses?
Oh yeah.
We was just too fresh.
No. I think the headphones will smash my ears. And
yeah.
becoming a pain.
But a rite of passage is so important, especially when young boys and young girls get into adulthood or pregnancy or just a new phase of your life. There's a rite of passage is a stage of lumality. Yeah, lumality. I think that's the word for it. I could be wrong. But liminal, when you're in that liminal space of a rite of passage, you're no longer where you started, but you're not at that ending stage. You're in that middle stage where everything is up in the air, pretty much. Everything is unpredictable. Everything is kind of uncomfortable because you're in uncharted territory. And you left from whence you came, but you're not where you want to be completely. And that journey can hold a lot of twists and turns. It can hold a lot of trial and error. It can hold a lot of even near-death experiences. It can hold some of the most gratifying, greatest releasing moments that you ever had in your life. And I feel like I have been calling towards a new rite of passage because I've recognized that I have the tools. I have everything that I need for fully walking my path and my purpose on a level that I never had before. I'm around the people that I need to be around. You're back in St. Louis, and my roommate is one of my accountability partners. You're one of my accountability partners. I have a whole group of people that are keeping me accountable as well. So it's like all the people that I truly resonate on a deeper level, and we're men and we can talk about these issues, not get offended, and hold each other accountable and know the responsibility that we hold for ourselves and for each other as a collective is just a confirmation of it's about that time to go on a whole new level of a rite of passage. And I want to be a leader in that for other people. And I know you do as well. Absolutely.
And hey, I lead from the front on certain topics, and sometimes I may lead from the back. Or I may just, follow along, with the fellow leaders. But to touch on rites of passage, that's something where it's a golden concept that's being lost, and
yes,
it's being kind of stripped away
in the Western world for sure.
Absolutely,
and we wonder why the younger generations aren't fully in touch with that sense of hard work and that sense of going out and getting uncomfortable intentionally.
So I'll share something. So as an example, and I think we've had this conversation before, as far as the rites of passage of becoming a man, just because you bear the suit of being a man, that doesn't make you a man. We have a whole bunch of grown ass boys in society living around, and that doesn't make them a man.
Cheering.
Now within that, let's use the example of African lineage.
Ooh, and I think that's a stage in the hero's journey. Sorry, about the, but also either that's a stage in the hero's journey or it's an archetype. I think it's an archetype, the man child
Archetype.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's yeah.
Now, African lineage, young boy is coming up, and it's almost time for him to be a man. Now, here in the Western states, we'll say you're a man at 18, 21 years old, right? I'm not sure exactly how old as far as in different cultures, but a lot of times, 12, 13, you're considered a man now, but it's at this point in time, you're ready to be a man. It's not, you're not a man just yet, but you're ready to start to be a man. And what that comes with is they'll set you up. They'll have you around your mom and, the village women, and you wake up and like all the men are gone. And before you know it, you're having a good time, and all the men, all the elders of the village, they'll come and snatch you up, and they got all their makes on in regards of like, whether it be their feathers or
In the middle of the night, you were saying, or no?
Really don't matter. But you thought it was sweet, and then they snatched you up and snatched you up out your mom's arms and snatched you off her titty. And they take you away, and that's where it starts, the actual rites of passage of being a man.
Yeah.
They want to teach you how to hunt, how to gather.
Yeah, Native American cultures have done that as
Absolutely.
well. That's why I was asking, like, during the nighttime, because I think that's what they do. Like, in the middle of the nighttime, they just take them, they say, we're going to throw you in this situation. You got to learn how to get yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm. And they're still going to be there as a guidance for you. Gonna
For
make
sure.
You're gonna
They're not
make it
going to let
through,
you just...
but it ain't going to
Yeah.
be sweet at all. And what's actually being done is you're extracting the characteristics of manhood, true manhood. You're going to understand that there's a difference between the man and the woman, and we both have our different parts, and there's a respect for both. And
Women have to go through their own rite of passage.
absolutely,
They have to.
absolutely. And so by the time you are complete with your training, you come back to the village, and they're already celebrating for you. They're clapping. Everyone's giving you hugs and high fives, and you can finally see your mother again after maybe some weeks or months, however long your training was necessary for you. And at that point, now you are considered a man. The thing is, for us nowadays, you go out and have sex. You're a man now. And or you go do something that the world is, you a man now.
Oh, you get drunk and everything. Happy 21st.
Hey, you're a man now.
Hey, let's
And,
go to the wheelhouse.
And it's actually starting a cycle of this, what we consider a toxic masculine now, and it's everything of opposite of what is a true sense of masculinity. And so the connection with God, the connection with nature, the connection with just the people, and purpose of being here, is what will be extracted, and that would make you a man. And so it's essentially the same in most cultures around the world, yet different, because everyone's going to do it a bit differently than the next region of the world, however you want to put it. Now, what we are missing nowadays is we don't have real men here, and I'm talking about in America. We don't have real men. And I don't think that people realize that within their own perspective, that they've been led astray. We've all been led astray. And we're seeing in the world where we're being kind of controlled by each other in a way that we're looking like, man, where the men at?
Yeah.
Men used to step up and protect and do what is right for those who don't have a voice, for those who are weak, for those who need protection. But now it's like they don't have those characteristics to be able
Words
to.
are hard.
This
My
man's
bad.
a character. Don't have those characteristics in order to be of the part. And so we see the result nowadays. Us just living in the way that we live. And so I can go a lot deeper into that. That's a whole nother podcast within itself.
For sure.
But I definitely would say the rites of passage of the man or even the woman is something that's been non-existent. And that needs to be something that we need to put more attention into, because if we want longevity, we're going to have to learn how to be in this space together the right way. If not, we already see the results of how things are looking and how they could look and go. And if we don't do something about it, we'll see the history of the world repeat itself again. And so a big part of my reasoning is, I didn't come up in that rites of passage, but I took that recognition of understanding that. So I was like, I have to go backwards a little bit and learn how to be a man.
Yeah.
And so I can be a better man, not only for myself, but I have nieces, I have a mother, I have sisters. There's women out here that don't know me, that needs my protection, that does know me, that needs my protection. Not just protection, guidance, wisdom.
Protect women, especially.
Oh man,
especially black women.
I was bridging that one.
Especially black women, man. And listen, I love all women. Let's get real, but black women have been under attack for a very, very long time.
Absolutely.
And I feel like there is a ploy in big industries shifting beauty away from the black woman and making black women look degenerate in a way.
Words to social media.
Yes.
People fall for the okie doke every time. But hey, you better stand for something and fall for everything. So
Facts.
within that, that's why it's important.
Give it a round of applause. I was saying that the other day. If you ain't willing to stand for something, you'll fall for everything.
So it's just not our duty as men, women also, and trust me, there's conversations that are being had with women on podcasts or just sacred circles of women that are saying, hey, we need to have more rites of passage. The traveling sisterhood of pens. We need more of them shits.
Facts.
Because like I said, it's other things that are running the show, and there's a lot of blind leading blind going on. And so a lot of people are going to follow what the next person is doing, and the next person is not doing the right thing.
Yes.
So within that, there's people stepping up, they're here and there. We may not see it, but you feel it, it's happening because you're doing it. And so you're not the only one out here. When it comes to women, a big part of who I am is about the empowerment of women, the protection of women, the understanding that wisdom, emotion, knowledge is actually most understood by women. And so we need women to be able to understand emotion, to understand those different things that us as men handle it the way we've been handling it. It's just not the most healthy. We're going to be like, all right, well, my muscle's bigger than yours, so we can fight about it.
Yeah.
I got a bigger missile than you, so I can go ahead and bomb your ass.
It's not even about fighting anymore. A lot of us just go straight to the pop, pop, pop.
Yeah. Well, that's essentially where I'm going with
it.
And so we have to join hands again with the women in order to live in solidarity together, because you don't have one without the other. And I'm not here to argue with that at all. And I wanted to look somebody in the face, because I feel like, I just feel like somebody's out there is like, oh, that's a simp. You call it what you want.
Simpleton.
Yeah. Grayson Simpleton. Like, you need each other just as much as women need us. We need women. There's not one without the other.
And there's this war that's trying to brew up between, I mean, you can find it in different races, the class, but gender as well, men versus women, has been something like, I'm not even gonna say it has been brewing up. I'm gonna say that has been prevalent in the last couple of years, where a lot of men and a lot of women are turning against each other and pointing the finger. And a lot of that, I mean, it goes on both sides. It's both of our faults. It's all of our faults. But I think we've been living under this, especially in the Western world, under this system of, I'm gonna say it like, yes, patriarchy, but toxic masculinity, where men are forgetting how to be men and what a man actually stands for and what it means to be a man. And we're not going through those rites of passage. We think that, like you said, you think getting that high school diploma and going into college is the rite of passage, or getting drunk on your 21st is that rite of passage, or having sex is this rite of passage. And it's none of that. It's none of that at all. And I think we also think about only the physical qualities when it comes to a man, and also this red pill community as well, which I can't stand, because it's just like, God, it's so
Alpha
annoying.
mindset.
Oh my God, it's so. And then they're merging this into like business and entrepreneurship, and it comes off in such a way where it's just like, I don't want to be a part of that.
First of all, people are comparing themselves to the primate family. So it's like, or just simply the nature kingdom. So like, the alpha, the beta,
The conquerors.
Blah. The thing is, you can't be an alpha unless you're already an alpha. Like, you either are the alpha or you're not the alpha. You can try and fake like it, but when that real alpha walk by, guess what? You're now beta.
Yeah. And it's like, I know there's a bunch of people that go back into like the whole conversation that was popular for a while, like the Roman Empire conversation and Alexander the Great, and even what's his name? I forgot his name, with the Mongols. Can't believe Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
I
thought you meant Michael Jordan. Yeah, my bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. That definitely is not what I meant. But ignore that. But essentially what I was going to say is that we look at these people as role models, as, oh, that's masculinity. Those are conquerors. They conquered everything in their path. I'm like, on a very physical level, and we're not primates. Like, we're greater than animals. And I think that's one thing that is pushed in the Western world as well, which goes against the spiritual values that you and I hold, and many people, especially in the ancient times, hold, is that, yes, we are one with nature. We essentially are nature. But if we're able to process nature in a completely different way outside of the animalistic nature and actions of the world around us, then we're cut from a different cloth, but we're of the same cloth that is around us. We're just able to process that and be aware and be conscious of that on a completely different level. And we are not here to conquer everything outside of us. We're here to conquer everything within us.
I like how you put that.
Yeah, a man has to conquer the trials and tribulations that he faces within. I mean, every human being does, but men have to be those conquerors, yes, but not of the days of old. There's a new way to conquer the world, and that's by conquering your inner world, conquering your emotions, conquering that sense of vulnerability in which the Western world completely loves to cut off from.
You know what? You know what that does? That actually makes you a powerful man at that point in time. It makes you actually a useful man, a respected man. And then you can get all of those things that you try and fake your way to get through this sense of toxic masculinity, or whatever we want to name it. It's just going to come naturally because you put the work in, or you process through the right things to be able to reap those rewards of life. Can
I say something real quick?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead, bro.
But that concrete mindset, and I realized this yesterday. Like yesterday was just a big day in terms of coming full circle. Excuse me, and recognizing the knowledge that you have. If it's put into application, that's how it becomes wisdom. The man and masculine energy that we're around today is striving for knowledge, but not striving to put it into application. So we want to know everything, but not put that knowing towards something and actually put in the work to be whimsical.
I like the way you put that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not respecting the process at the end of the day, not respecting the journey. It's like, yo, you want some cookies? You want to bake the cookies? You want some homemade baked cookies, right? You got to go through the process and wait once you mix up the ingredients and put it in the oven. Like, you got to wait another 15 to 17 minutes or whatever it is, but you take it out too soon and try and eat them, you skip the process. At that point in time, you really just don't care about the process. Go buy some cookies, and let somebody else, respect the process, but you just go eat the cookies if you don't really care about the process of it.
Hey, it's Girl Scout Keys season, by the way. Shout out to the Thin Mints. I had to put that out there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thin Mints for the win.
Cousin Ella, I love you. Thank you for getting me hooked up on the Thin Mints that will be here next Saturday.
Oh, you got a dealer?
Yeah.
Put me on.
I mean, I know a couple people.
All right, say less. I need like 2
Hey,
pounds
just
of
know
cookies.
that's the family business. So we'll talk about it after this
Bet.
podcast. Don't tell nobody. All right. If you listen to that, don't say nothing. Seriously. But continue. My bad.
Oh, that's all I really had on that topic.
Okay. Yeah. What was I about to say? Yeah, on me. But the application of knowledge is very, very important. And I was gonna say something, but my cookie statement threw me off. God damn it, Houston.
I'm definitely thinking about Girl Scouts at this point in time.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the Girl Scout cookies, man. What
favorite
everybody
strings.
put in the comments what your favorite Girl Scout cookie is. I'm gonna create a poll, even though it has nothing to do with the greater scheme of this podcast. I just want to know.
Yeah.
I just want to know. So
Like,
it's Thin Mints for me,
Yeah, Thin Mints for the win, boss.
and I do not put them in the freezer. I don't know what's wrong with y'all.
They do smack a little bit when they cold though. Like
Oh yeah. But in the freezer,
teeth gonna be hard. Like hurt.
that's what I'm saying. It's like you just chewing on ice at this point. Minty ice.
It's a personal problem at that point in time.
That's what I'm saying. But that's a problem I don't have. But yeah, man, the hero's journey is much needed for everybody, much needed for men. Like you said, we can have that conversation all day because that's an epidemic in itself. Is that men aren't fully stepping into that power and conquering themselves and the ability to be vulnerable. This is what I was going to say. I think every man, especially in the Western world, has to find something that requires patience and requires them to get in touch with their emotions. Because if you're just thinking all the time, thoughts come and go. Like the speed of thought is instantaneous. And if you're relying strictly only on your mental and psychological health and performance, then a lot of the things that's why we're in this state of life right now is purely based on logic. It's purely based on reason, but we're not letting the feminine qualities and the female speak within us. We're not letting our feminine qualities speak within us. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has this issue, but I'm just saying there is an epidemic within men in the Western world, especially in America, for not being patient. We want everything right now. We're always in a rush, and we're always trying to calculate our next move rather than being in the moment and being present and enjoying the process. Because if you only enjoy the process, what makes you think you're going to enjoy the end goal? Like, let's be honest. Like, if you're not willing to put the time and the effort in, you're definitely not gonna like the end goal because you didn't put the necessary ingredients.
Appreciate it, or you may not even recognize when you got to your mark.
Exactly.
Because you don't even understand where you're going at that point in time. You're just doing it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I enjoy nature. Like every man should be out in nature, some way, shape, or form. It's just listen to it. And I know there's a lot of young kids and young boys that are looking at that like, no, that's what's cool about being in nature. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it gets you in touch with a whole different side of yourself. And that's one thing that Carl Jung talked about is the anima and the animus, the divine masculine in women and the divine feminine in men, and understanding that every masculine energy, there has to be a balance of feminine energy.
Absolutely.
We are both feminine and masculine beings. We're not masculine beings and there aren't just feminine beings. We are balanced beings. The universe seeks harmony and seeks balance. And sometimes when you go through that rite of passage, you have to go through the chaos in which makes you strive for new order. That order is that balance. That order is that harmony. But for you to recognize and fully appreciate that, you have to go through those chaotic moments. You have to go through the opposites, in which we were talking about. Everything is a spectrum and the law of polarity. And if you're not willing to go through that spectrum, however it is represented in your life and however it reflects on your journey, then you're not going to fully appreciate that end goal. So it's like, if I'm not willing to take the true route to get to New York and actually live my purpose out, whatever it is at the time I wanted to move there indefinitely. Now it's like, I don't want to stay in New York indefinitely. Like, why would I do that? That's no matter how fun that place is, that's not somewhere where I want to raise a kid. That's not somewhere where I want to grow a family. That's not somewhere where I feel like I can find peace. Like I don't want to hear the subway under my feet, some crackheads yelling and just cars honking all the time. Mm-hmm. Like that is not peace. And I think that was just a representation of where I was in my life, was just that go, go, go type of nature. And I just resonated with that. And I wanted to be there, diving deeper into the other side of myself, that creative side, that feminine side, that the nature, the creator. Men, as much as we love to create, as much as we feel like we can create, the real creators in this world are women. You would not be here.
They're teaching us how to create.
Yes. Your life would not be in existence without a woman. So let's get that straight.
Facts.
Oh, but yeah, man, I do appreciate you for honing in more on that, because men need stories like these. Men need to understand the ability of storytelling and how big of an impact that can have on their own life and how much you can learn from that and enjoy the process. I sent you a podcast under the name of Thomas Hubley. I may have gotten the last name wrong, but yeah, it was a Point of Relation podcast. I sent it to you a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling you that how I was reflecting on a rite of passage in my life and how it was time for me to go through that. When did I send that to you? This was back in January, and they talked about, I think it was in some African tribes as well, how young boys will have to dig a hole, mm-hmm. get in the hole, cover themselves in dirt from neck down, and be there for 24 hours. Mm-hmm. No food, no water, nothing. And it puts them in this space of hallucinations mm-hmm. and trance, as if the earth is literally speaking with you. And it's like,
because it is.
Exactly. It always is. Mm-hmm. But when you're submerged by nothing but the earth, you have no choice but to communicate with that. It's as if it's like you're a carrot. Like your head is just the stem, and then the actual carrot of your body is still getting that nutrients from the ground. And literally it reconnects you with the earth and reminds you that do not think in separateness of this home. Yes, this is your stomping grounds. This is where you live. You need to respect it as if it's you, because it is you. It's only a reflection of you. The source of creation comes from within you, especially women as well.
You know what I'm going to do? I've never done that, but I'm going to take my ass somewhere and dig a hole and cover myself up to my neck.
I did that on the beach, and I'm not going to lie. I meditated for a good 15 minutes. I was like, this actually feels amazing.
Yeah, I don't want to do it on the beach, because if that tide just does something wrong that day, I'm out of that bitch. Well, I'm not out of that bitch. I'm actually out of this plane, because I'm going to be dead. I'm going to drown again. Like, damn.
I was about 15 minutes, not 15 minutes, but 15 feet away from shore. So I was pretty good for the most part.
I feel it.
I was all right.
But yeah, I definitely want to do it in I want to do it in some dirt. And I don't know where, but I feel like that would be something that I can learn from, because I understand in regards of the knowledge from that, but I don't have that wisdom in regards to burying myself, because I never buried myself. And so I want to have the experience.
Indeed. All right, let's take a break real quick. Music time. I want to see the reasoning why, of all people, I have a really good collection. Yes, I'm tooting my own horn. Toot it. The immortal Duke Ellington, a classic within jazz, which, I don't blame you for picking that at all. If anything, shout out to Maliki for picking that one up.
Oh, man, my man.
Yeah. But what made you go with the jazz vibes on this lovely Sunday afternoon?
Well, contrary to popular belief, I'm going to say everybody, because a lot of people don't know me like that, but I like my hip hop, R&B, like some oldies here and there.
Jazz is absolutely essential.
Jazz is my favorite. I be in the weight room going crazy, bench pressing 300 pounds and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. You might as well just press the button at that point. Just toot your own horn.
Doing the thing I do. And you would think that I'm just blasting some heavy metal or something that have me in that pumped up mode. Duke Ellington, and a lot of times it just be instrumentals, and the power of instruments and vibrations and sounds, it goes so deep beyond what's at the surface, and when you add some
everything is vibration.
Yes. So when you add vocal to that, low key, it kind of distorts the vibe of what it could be, because of voice. Now,
depending on who's on there.
Depending on, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but when I'm talking
and what they're talking about,
just simply the instruments, all combined together in a symphony and whatever it may be, man, I love it. I can listen to jazz through any vibe or situation, and it'll get me, whatever sustenance I know I need to carry out the whatever it is that I'm doing. So as I'm looking through a collection and I'm just thinking, I'm like, hey, he got one of my favorite Michael Jackson hits on here too. But I was also thinking okay, in comparison, this Michael Jackson album and this collector series for Duke Ellington, which one would I probably bump or jam more? And it's gonna be my boy Duke. And
shout out Duke, man.
Shout out to Duke Ellington. I love jazz. Jazz is definitely something that is it's just one of those very underrated, and maybe
shout out Duke, no Blue Devil.
A lot of people would probably say, no, it's not underrated, but I just feel like jazz can get a lot more attention in the music world than it does. A lot of times people are actually mixing jazz into their hip hop beats and different stuff like that.
It's sample heaven.
Yes, absolutely. And so people know about it, but when I'm talking about just raw jazz, I love it. Unbeatable.
Indeed. And listen, shout out to all the people that wake up in the morning, go straight to jazz, and start their morning off right. We can't be like this young generation going straight to trap music, man. That is devious time. It's waking up for work at 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. even earlier than that. And you're like, you know what? I'm gonna put on some Young Thug or something like that. I'm like, no, I don't know how you do that. Like, listen, Thug is nice, but not before noon. Not before noon. But I definitely commend you for picking that record, because jazz is just such an essential part of life. Have you ever seen the video of random dudes playing jazz for some cows, and like how it just starts with one cow and then
they all start coming up.
They're just all flocking towards there, and it just like it shows that cows are big dogs as well. They're very in tune because they have near identical human emotion spectrums as we do. So
very interesting.
Yes,
which,
that's why the Hindus
it's kind of a tangent, but we eat a lot of beef, and it just automatically makes you kind of think of like maybe the emotions of that cow. Maybe, but hey, that's neither here nor there.
Whatever that cow was going through when it was slaughtered, you getting that taste. It's funny, I'm going to Longhorn Steakhouse later on tonight.
Hey, man.
I'm not eating steak, though. I'm just getting the chicken parm. That shit is good.
I feel you.
It's good.
Hey, hopefully the chickens had a good life too, boss.
Yeah, man, I hope so. I hope my chicken is dope as hell.
He probably was doped up with antibiotics before and steroids before.
I'm going to have to send you some jazz records, though.
Please do, man. Yeah, I can widen my collection of jazz and throw more on my workout playlist.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
Appreciate that.
There was a reason why I went to pick Damn for Kendrick. Well, obvious reason. He's performing today on the Super Bowl. I'm very excited to see that. Yes, indubitably. But I think one thing that's going to be nice to see is not just the music that he performs, because I know he's going to be performing a lot of GNX. And if he performs Not Like Us, that's going to be lit as well.
You know he is.
But he's got to, man. I won 5 Grammys off of it. But I think the biggest thing that I'm excited for is, like I said, he broke down the whole performance in one word, and that was storytelling. And I was listening to an interview with Apple Music that he did on Friday, I believe. And he said that PG Lane is in charge of everything, because PG Lane is not only just a music label, but it's visual arts as well. So directing, films, all of that. So this is definitely going to be like on all levels of the whole performance. PJ Lane, Dave Free, Kendrick Lamar are all going to take part in this. And that is going to be very exciting to see. Because with me getting into film and also part of music, I'm looking for the best way to show the best of both worlds. And not just cater towards just the music, but not just cater towards the film. How can I make a cohesive project and a cohesive piece of art that uses both of these wonderful mediums to tell a wonderful story? And I'm very interested how they're going to do that on stage during the Super Bowl, and you have limited time. You only have 15 minutes. So that's going to be exciting to see. The real reason why I picked it is that during our during the first couple of years, especially 2020 and 2021 before you left, we went into this album a lot. And I would say 2021, at least for the first half of it, this album described a lot of what I was feeling. And we kind of were just breaking it down. And I'm not going to lie, like, one of the biggest songs that we were rapping is a song that not a lot of people like, and that's God. God is probably, and I would agree, is one of the weakest records on here, but I was still bumping it. And it was just like, because that was his moment of realization after the song title Fear, where he was like, I go through all of this fearful moments and all these things that could knock me down just for me to realize that there's a purpose behind it. And I go through this suffering because me, my people, and living under America, we created this karma. And I understand that I am in control of my own direction. And that this was before he went on that 5-year hiatus and then dropped Mr. Morale. So I think like having that song and then Duckworth come after it, kind of just saying that my life isn't a coincidence at all, like I'm here for a reason, was such a great segue to go into Mr. Morale, which was 2022, the year after I started really breaking this down, because I known the meaning, but it wasn't until 2021 where I actually like applied that knowledge and I could apply it to my life. And I actually saw the wisdom of it. I'm like, dang, like I'm feeling this. Like I know where he's coming from, because this is like some real human shit, real vulnerable shit that he's talking about. And we went in depth about this album so many times. So you got any words for this album? Because I know we experienced that together, if anything.
No, I rock with it myself. I will also say that if you haven't done so, if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. And as soon as the album ends, listen to it backwards.
Yes. It's either you're rising or descending. Backwards, it's descending.
Yeah.
The regular version, which I have here, is rising.
Yep.
And I think Fear is the best song and the best message on that album, and just how it can control you and skew your viewpoint and perception of life and reality. Because fear is a hell of a monster, but you're the one feeding it. So if you take away the food supply, which is you, it diminishes. And it needs you as much as, I'm not going to say as much as you need it, but it needs you. It's a parasite. And that was one of the things that you told me, not what you told me, but the book that you gave me. Actually, this motherfucker left it in my car and just.
I was like, I didn't give you no damn.
He left it in my car and left for Arizona one day. So random, but it was talking about how essentially the ego is the parasite, and also it connects with the power now, where it talked about the pain body, how the pain that you have in your mind and the identification that you have with your mind, if it gets so deep and so interconnected, it's exactly that, interconnected. It seeps into every other area in your life. First, most notably, your body, your emotions. It's going to start reflecting the state of mind and that parasite that's in your mind through your emotions as well, because there is a connection. While they do have their differences, everything is interconnected.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that you learn in a rite of passage in the hero's journey. Everything that you do, everything that you're a part of is interconnected. There's no such thing as separateness. So I think fear, the reason why I love fear so much, it just kind of point the finger towards that interconnectedness, that pain body, that parasite, and the consequences of falling deeper into that. And listening to the record in reverse, Fear is the third song.
Yep.
It's not the
third to last.
Yeah. I'm not going to count, but yeah, third to last. But so if that's the third song and everything else follows, it just descends more and more and more into that fear-based mindset when you get to Blood, and then he gets shot and kind of is looking back on his life in a way of regret and wickedness rather than weakness and being vulnerable in life. If we're not, if we don't have the ability to be vulnerable, we're going to constantly fear our life experiences and everything that's happening with us. So that's one thing. That's a great segue.
Yeah.
I think that's a great segue. What, with you being, and newsflash, it may not look like it, and it may not look like he went through this. You have kept your integrity. You have kept your composure during this journey, especially this last stint in Arizona, where the majority of the time you were homeless. You lived in the car during a short period of time where in Arizona, for all the people that listen and have been to Arizona, especially in the summertime, it's hot as hell, even during the nighttime.
Heavy on the hill part.
And being homeless in those type of conditions is like, I don't know how that feels. I've never been homeless ever before, unless we were talking in like a spiritual sense, for sure. But going through that, and what type of fears emerged through those journeys, and how did you navigate through those fears? Because this isn't like one little period of time where you were homeless. Like, you just came back last year in 2024. You've been in Arizona for 3 years and have battled through that for 3 years. And you had a lot of different encounters in which were positive, some of them negative. Some of that negativity even came from family. Some of it came from scammers. Some of it came from people that just don't align with your way of thinking, and they try to push that on you. Word to your Bible study group.
Hey, you bringing up things that I didn't try to forget about.
Yeah. But hey, I'm here to remind you, and
I appreciate that.
It's good.
My dog.
This is this whole podcast. The phrase for this podcast is "come in circle," full circle moment.
Full circle for sure.
Yeah.
So I would say, a few times throughout my journey there, especially toward the end of being in Arizona, I was homeless a couple of times. Either I had to live out of my car or stand in my storage. And honestly, there's no one to blame other than me. And it's really not a blame, but I take full accountability of my life, and not realizing that the powers, that you have, that I do have, and, to be able to have some sense of control over your life and dominion over the things that once had dominion over you. And so, although I've always known that I was always spiritually protected, whatever situations I may go through, I have a full understanding that, this storm too shall pass. And, I just remember at one point in time, I was evicted. I got evicted from my place. After a series of unfortunate events, and I'm sleeping in the car, and some of the fears are coming up of like, I'll never be able to, have this, this sense of success, or like a happy family, or this stability. And honestly, as those fears are kind of going through, I can see how fake they actually are. Ooh. And how much actually I was the one putting myself in that situation, because the fear was actually something that was more so supporting me, but it was just outdated.
Bro, and you know how we were just talking about like the masculine nature of the world right now? Mm-hmm. I think that whole process of homelessness was kind of a result, or at least taking a deep dive in your own experiences, reflecting off of that toxic masculinity nature.
Absolutely.
And purging that, because if you live in that toxic masculinity, or that patriarchy and red pill community, it's based off survival. You can't get past that solar plexus chakra. You're living in stability. You're living in
root chakra.
Yeah, you're living in that root chakra. Mm-hmm. And I think that was just a rite of passage, saying like, this doesn't work, but you had to go through this because you're an author, mm-hmm. you're a shaman, you're a keynote speaker. We're going to give you something to talk about. We're going to give you something to influence and inspire young men to not take that route.
Absolutely. So sometimes you got to go through it to understand why it's not even necessary to even go through it, but somebody else is going through that.
Knowledge has to be put in application.
Exactly. It's what's a better teacher than experience, right? And so, but again, like I said, it was nobody else's, doing or fault or anything like that. It was just like my own my own sense of perspective within my own life, which was, put me right in the seat that I was in. And so I had to understand that, suffering is just a malfunction in thinking. And when you're not properly using, like I said, this biological spacesuit that you have, it will be a life of suffering. And so I had to learn and grow through that. And, coming out on the other side of that, it's actually beautiful to have gone through those things, because I was able to, like I said, extract the knowledge from those situations that I hated, absolutely did not like being a part of or being in. But I'm like, wow, I'm grateful that I had to go through that, because, I understand now, I get it now. And, but, I think within my spirit, I am I do have a pride of being, a warrior when it comes to, dealing with those different elements in life. So I'm a tough it through regardless. I'm a push through.
Man, that's an understatement.
Real
with
live
you.
survivor. I think a little bit more about some of my traits of survival, in this life than others would. But
oh yeah, and I mean, credit to the military experience as well. Oh yeah, he was in the military.
Yeah, that was lightweight. Like I said, I think I realized my toughness when it came to actually high school football. And don't get me lying.
Ooh,
that was put into application when my auntie died. After my drowning experience, my auntie died about a year later. And she was like the strong chain link of the family that was keeping the family together, really. And
shout out auntie.
Oh, shout out to Auntie Darlene, man. I love her. I love her to pieces. And
I'm sure she's in this room right now, sitting on the couch over there.
And so that is honestly where I realized I had some strength and resilience heavy on that. And then, just 3 years later, my father died. By the time he passed at 15 years old, freshman in high school, I was already pretty damn resilient to, just those things in life that you can't control.
Yeah, you were one
of life.
You were one to quit football too after that point, weren't you?
Yeah. It literally was. We had one game left. And I'm like, I just couldn't take it. And the coach was like, if you quit, like you pretty much worked this whole season for nothing, because your name won't even be on the roster that you played, essentially. So it's like, it won't even show that you played or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, I get it. And he was like, still, not only that, we got you, your brothers here got you as a form of support. Yeah, he just really gave me a good talking to in regards to saying like, hey man, just stick it out. And boy, I just remember actually like, yeah, I have some day one real homies that also was just like in my ear and giving me the right form of support. And I just remember, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna stay. In our last football game, boy, I went crazy. High braised chicken.
Man, you had the barbecue chicken alert
on me.
Man, you had to channel that. You had to transmute all that
pain,
emotion and pain that you were going through, and said, you know what, this last football game, you gonna get the best of me.
Yeah, absolutely. I said, I'm gonna leave it all out on the field.
Mm-hmm.
This for you, pops. And from there, that's where the fire actually started during the off season. I said, I can't wait till next season so I can be able to actually. It was actually something that I saw in myself in that very last game that I said, now it's here. I know it's here, and there's no excuse for it. I can put this into every game now. So I can't wait till next season, sophomore year. So that's what really turned me to a dog. I start go crazy in the weight room, and I just had a little chip on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And that chip on my shoulder turned into more so kind of like that chip turned into more so of something like I don't know exactly how I want to put it right now, but it was the tip of an iceberg. I'll say that. I didn't realize that it was so much more in store. And I love how it's coming full circle based off of me having to go through some tough experiences. As a young boy, I can't even call myself a man yet at that point in time. But as a young boy, it was pretty tough. And so within that, it gave me, it lit a fire in my belly. And so by the time, I'm toward the end of high school and ready to start, making those moves in life toward, being a man or just being out there in the real world. I just had this sense of fight in me, but not a toxic fight. It's kind of like I'm in the fight, whatever it is that, it won't knock me out. And so, but not necessarily looking to fight life, but just know that if you're going to come over here swinging, you're going to walk back over there holding your eye. And so, because I ain't going.
Yeah.
I already drowned and damn near died. God sent me back from that, very graceful. Lost my she was like everybody else's mom, our auntie. She was like your second mom. And then lost my father. I'm like, boy, I'm ready to take on whatever. It's like, and so within that, I'm grateful for those experiences because, like I said, it's the resilience that I learned in the military wouldn't even matter if that resilience wasn't already something that I learned the word resilience. If anything, I learned that I've been resilient based off of learning the word. And I'm like, oh, that's what's in here right now. And so, I just continue to build upon that and allow that to grow upon me. So fast forward to when I actually was homeless a couple of times. That resilience was like, we was ready to go ahead and
that was the trial of application.
Absolutely. And definitely bittersweet. And I think some about me, my marvel's probably not all the way there because sometimes when life does present me one of those challenges that I know is going to be a challenge, I get a little smirk on my face.
Oh yeah. And there were some times where I had to humble your ass sometimes, and I was like, hey, buddy, let's tone it down. I mean, I
got this.
I was like, you do the same for me too. I was like, if we get, especially in situations like that, if we get too egotistical and get in our own way, then we tend to make things even worse.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
What can get worse than that situation that you were in?
Shit, the way I saw it, I was like, it can't get no worse.
Yeah.
So that's why I was so excited because I was like, it only can go up from here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it doesn't get any worse than this. I mean, the only worst thing is dying at that point.
Yeah.
But like, I've already conquered it. I've gone through that.
And I commend you. Like, you didn't have any we communicated very, very closely, and you never had a thought of just ending it.
No.
Like, there's a lot of people that will go through that situation, and this is a 3-year stretch that you've been homeless, going from different space to space, and even, certain family members turning their back on you as well. And a lot of people wouldn't know how to take that. And you took that and you said, bet. Say less. And were you perfect throughout the whole situation? No, God doesn't expect you to be perfect, but God expects you learn from this.
Absolutely.
And that's why it was so special when me, along with a couple others, finally recognized and helped you recognize that, come home, bro. Come home. It's time. It's time. And I think the amount of people that were saying come home was just enough confirmation for you.
It was confirmation yelling at me probably like a year before that. And I'm like, nah, I got some things to finish here. I ain't ready. Remember I was saying at the very beginning of this podcast here, I'm like, the sense of what my success looked like as far as what the world tells you success should look like. I'm not ready yet. The whole time, you're absolutely ready. And you don't necessarily need to see and know the end results of where you're going, but you're going to get there.
Yeah, you don't want to spoil the surprise.
Yeah. And so I had to humble myself enough to say, you know what? I am ready. So I start. So I went back to the crib, and honestly, it's been up ever since.
You look the happiest that you've been in a long time as well.
Man, bro. I'm grateful, bro. I really am.
And even though you're still kind of figuring stuff out, it's just you're recognizing the connections that St. Louis hold.
Yeah. Life started over. It's like I've had so many restarts in life where
he's a born again Christian.
And born again Christian, but it's funny because life keeps on giving me these different things that resonate together. So it's like I'm starting over, then I'm born again.
Yeah.
And these different things, but it's like life is completely different. You know, I'm seeing life through a different lens, and not trying to rush it through, not trying to overstep or understep. You know, just step. And that's all you got to do.
Step.
Yeah, my bad, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey, I've been watching Martin all week.
That's what I'm saying.
That's crazy.
I just treat your ass like Gina. But no, I definitely want to commend you for not only that whole journey, but also giving confirmation, because last podcast I had Lil Derek on, part 2. Shout out to Lil Derek, man. Didn't make it to your feature concert on Friday, but I saw highlights. I know you killed it. Stream Enter the Dragon. But we were talking about, he's a middle school basketball coach, and he was actually just now rewarded the ability to be a head coach and head of that organization, not organization, but that program for U City Middle School. So congrats to him. But we were just touching on for the last third of that podcast, the importance of sports, the importance of being an athlete, and the lessons that you can learn, and how sports are a rite of passage in themselves of life lessons and becoming a man. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because it just affirms that conversation that we had. And honestly, we don't have to go too deeper into that, but I just wanted to give you the flowers. That thank you for bringing that up. We literally just talked about that. If anything, that just, it's confirmation for not only me, but also for the viewer as well, that, hey, if you're interested, or you have anybody that's interested, or you have kids that are interested in getting into sports, do it, man. Do it for sure. And make sure it's what they want to do. Make sure you cater to them, and make sure that they feel comfortable getting into that sport, and feel comfortable with the uncomfort that comes with that sport as well. You got to find the comfort within the uncomfort, and get into sports, especially depending on where and who's your coach and who's your teammates. There's going to be times where you're going to have to face brutal truths. You're going to have to face uncomfortable moments. And I know people that, and when I was a coach, last time I coached 2 years ago, we had a bunch of kids on a travel team that you have to spend a good $1 on, that were just there for fun and shits and giggles. And I told them, I'm like, listen, you are diminishing the light of some other players, because they're here to play. They're here because they want to go to college. And some have ambitions to want to play even further beyond that. But I would say, like, if you're willing to pay for baseball for a travel team, please have a conversation with the kid and let them know, like, hey, I'm spending money, a lot of money, because it ain't cheap for you to play baseball. You have to be serious about this, because if not, then they're not going to help the team. But also, the lessons that you can learn from that sport, from your coach, from the organization, from your teammates, and from the game itself may not resonate with you, because you're just there to have fun rather than just learn something and be a better person, let alone a better player. Absolutely.
I was going to say, I remember that trial you're going through that. You're like, man, these damn kids piss me off, because I'm the only one here that's serious. But you have a few players
so
that were
unserious.
But in regards to playing sports, it taught me selflessness, teamwork, and sacrifice. And those things are definitely important, especially as a young man, and like learning that at an early age. It's been something that was able to honestly make me a great leader that I am.
I appreciate you doing that. I didn't feel like leaning over.
I got you, bro. I had a feeling that you would do it.
I'm pretty comfortable right now.
Yeah, I can smell your feet as you got them out right now.
What? Okay, that goes on for a little too long. Press that one more time. Okay, there we go. I don't know why we have a 2-minute laughing track, but
Yeah, that's wild, bro. You gotta fix that one.
it came with it. So,
But yeah, man, sports.
sports.
Sports. It taught me selflessness and sacrifice. I'd probably say, besides like, teamwork make the dream work and yada yada.
No I in team
is what Kobe say, ain't no I in team, but he said
there's I and win.
Facts. But yeah, man, sacrifice. Making sacrifices.
No, that's that's Michael Jordan said that.
No, man.
He said that in The Last Dance.
Something that Kobe said is like, ain't no I in team. He was like, yeah, but is a I in something. That's why I'm gonna shoot that bitch. I don't know exactly what word he used. I'm gonna have to go back and find it. But yeah, man, sacrifice is something that's definitely powerful. That it can be taught to young athletes just by just being a part of the whole shebang of whatever sport that you're playing. And that's also like one of those rites of passage of understanding that we're all in this collective together, and you're gonna have to make sacrifices for the better of good and humanity and the village, the team. And so you're going to have to give up some of the things that you want to do as far as like selfishly. I'm not saying selfish in a negative term, but when it comes to you, you're going to have to put those sacrifices to the side sometimes momentarily for the team.
Yes.
Like, for example, I remember in high school where my sisters were pretty involved in, some different things also. So before I started playing high school football, I would make sure I was always at like my sister Maya's violin recital, just like my sister Ashley's like choir concerts and stuff like that. And then when I was like, I took a pride in being, I'm just a little brother. I'm lit just seeing my sisters, do their thing. And I had to make some sacrifices in order to make sure I was there for the team. So like sometimes I'm like, dang, I can't leave practice early or something like that. Even though they running, I would love to leave this mug early right now, but like, and I really can, but I'm like, I can't be out here letting my fellow dogs run, and take this punishment from the coach or something, from some stuff that we did, or the lack of effort in the game or something like that, because I'm about to go live a sweet life and be in the AC and watch my sister play her violin while the boys out there going crazy. I'm gonna have to make that sacrifice and not be there and go crazy with the boys right now. And that's just one of many examples, but just making sacrifices, the right sacrifices to reach that end goal that we all may have, whether it be, beat this team or win state or make it to state, which we never did, but
goddamn Pacific.
It was Eureka, but yeah.
It's the same difference.
Okay. Beat the hell out of Pacific and we played.
I do want to segue that into something. So yesterday went to the rap battle against Bodine and A Game. Very eventful battle, but also just got to see some notable people there.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that was talked about was, though it is a rap battle, it can get very competitive, and there is a history within rap battles and just battles like that in general, competitive natures, where it can go south. It didn't do that. That's a beauty to see. Also, we were in St. Peter, so that wouldn't have happened for too long. And it was beautiful to see how St. Louis can be competitive, but at the same time, we can keep that sense of unity, because a lot of people that are not from St. Louis view St. Louis as a dangerous city, somewhere where you wouldn't think unity would be a conversation point, or you will see unity in St. Louis. That's what Jeremy from Hip Hop DX was actually there, who is actually part of the bigger picture with Elliott Wilson and DJ Head, who Elliott Wilson is one of the most notable journalists in the hip hop scene. had a lot of big interviews. I'm sure everybody was there for the big interview that he did in 2018 with Mr. Jersey Drake, Aubrey Graham. That was a big interview, one of his biggest. I'm gonna have to go deeper into some of his work because the rest of those interviews kind of escaped me. But DJ Head, notably, is a friend and affiliate with Mr. Kendrick Lamar. He did 1/3 of the sets for the Pop Out as well, which most notably gave more recognition to a lot lesser known LA artists, local artists that a lot of us have never heard of, that are only popping in the LA scene or in that Western region. So I appreciate him putting it on, but it was dope to actually get an interview with Jeremy as well and know that you talked to somebody, that you got recognition from somebody, not only as an individual, but as the collective of Truly Gifted as well. Shout out to Truly Gifted, shout out to Hip Hop DX and the bigger picture. And knowing that he does a podcast with somebody that is close to Kendrick Lamar. So that's dope. And it was dope hearing him say like he didn't know what to expect coming out of St. Louis. He heard many different things. And he said there's a lot of talent and the community here is crazy. We welcomed him with open arms. We welcomed him with love. And that's what St. Louis needs to be. So sticking with community and sticking with the idea of coming together and learning lessons as a collective, like we do in sports. Now we're grown men and you know what path you want to take. You're back here in St. Louis. I know what path I'm taking. I'm walking that path. You're walking that path. Obviously, every step you're still figuring things out. Things are still shifting. But the scene here in St. Louis specifically is very special. And coming back from Puerto Rico, when prior to leaving St. Louis, I did not have the St. Louis mindset of me wanting to stay here and grow from here. It was like, and he brought that up. Jeremy brought that up. He was like, a lot of people, because he's from Canada, but he works in LA.
Okay.
And he's like, a lot of people view LA as an epicenter to come in and blow up there. But he said the scene that's happening in St. Louis is like y'all are creating your own center to do it here. And we haven't had that type of energy maybe for 20 years. In the mid 2000s, early 90s, when Nelly, St. Lunatics, Cheney, and so many more people were coming together and actually putting St. Louis on the map. Now we're having that. And outside of the SZAs and the Sminos and even the Sexy Reds and Jordan Wards and Jason Tatums and notable people out of St. Louis, I have learned that there's such a beautiful art community, a beautiful, creative, spiritual community here in St. Louis that hasn't gotten its recognition. And I'm so grateful that I was put back here by God, taken out of what a lovely, beautiful country Puerto Rico is, but not the best circumstance at the time. You know about that. And coming back and having so much more reverence. And as my reverence grows, the more connections I have and the more community I grow. And you can't spell community without unity. And the timing of you coming back to St. Louis in the midst of this renaissance that we're going through and that we're starting to see is right on time. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to ask what you bring to the table, but
I am the table. That was cringy as hell to say. I had to say it.
What did Ye say? I know this is not a good time to quote him, but he said, "How you gonna take me away from the table when I'm the table?" Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not sitting at a Nazi table. I'm all right, but yeah, no, I don't want to get bleeped out of YouTube here. But how do you see, what part do you play in the unity of St. Louis? And let me find the best way to word this. Not only how best can you contribute to the unity of St. Louis, but what is the importance behind unity in St. Louis? Growing up here, and also like you had the ability a little longer than I have, because I only lived outside of St. Louis for 2.5 months when I moved to Puerto Rico. You have been outside of St. Louis, whether it be the military, whether it be in your 2 stints in Arizona. How has unity and growing with St. Louis molded your journey and your perception now?
Well,
and what does it mean to you?
I'm from here. So it is my home, whether it be the most beautiful city in my opinion or the dirtiest, most ratchet ghetto city, but this is where I come from. And so taking a pride in where you come from is, then separate yourself from that, seeing other things do exist, then coming back to that, you kind of realize certain things of home that you can't get in other places, particularly St. Louis. And word to Nelly, we all we got. And so, me
you can't
as
get
a shaman,
emos nowhere else.
Facts, unless you want to get some frozen emos pizza and that's just not hitting.
Hey, Jeremy tried emos for the first time. He had that pepperoni, that spicy pepperoni or something like that. And he said, he was like, if I can eat and sponsor emos every day, he would.
That's lit, but so emos on. I'm gonna say emos is the sponsor. But
I am Mr. Emo.
I would say, as a shaman, community is pretty important. And so to be able to share through my own sense of example, the sense of taking care of your community, taking care of each other as a village, as one. And from there, the results that we get when it comes to solidarity or just going to, or just solidarity or just camaraderie, just all those different things, it's definitely a competitive city. And maybe not in the best way, but things are always getting better. But when it comes down to it, it definitely has the potential to be a very beautiful place. And when it comes to just a lot of different things, I think I'm not going to try to pass up the fact that St. Louis, has been rated one of the top most crime-driven places, but for the past years, we've been dropping lower and lower and lower on that list.
Thank God.
Yes, absolutely. And so me coming, back home is to keep that going in regards to, putting us on the map as one of those cities that people do want to come to and be a part of, and just bringing more love here. And only way I can do that is just be an example, love myself, love the others around me, and
reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, it's really just as simple as that. And through the different things that I'm doing, whether it be doing different things when it comes to movement, personal trainings and stuff like that, group exercise training.
Movement like this?
No, that's lame.
Damn, I don't have a boo button.
But yeah, whether it be just in ways that I know I have my own particular skill sets or ways of doing things, just bringing that forth towards St. Louis. I didn't do that in St. Louis, and I did that in other places. And so I feel like it's actually way more useful here because I have a connection here versus with those other places. Like, yeah, I have connections with those other places I've stayed in, but I'm from here and it's, it's a part of me. And if anything, it matters most to bring those different things here because it's needed most here. And I feel like, honestly, my preparation of all those things that I've become has been preparing me just to do those things just here. And so the time where, St. Louis wasn't in its current state as of now, I wasn't ready to be in St. Louis to bring forth whatever, that God has planned for me, through me, to bring forth in St. Louis or be a part of, and so, yeah, just the current state of St. Louis now is a lot more conducive to what I have going on and how I'm able to be a part of the collective when it comes to, like I said, the sense of community. And so, yeah, just bringing shamanism to the city in a modern way. And that's simply what it is, just bringing ancient shamanism, into a modern world in a very modern city.
Yes. And this is a very historic city. We can talk about the early years and the 20th century. We had the World's Fair, and a lot of creations came out of the city, whether it be the ice cream cone, whether it be, I think, hot dogs as well, I believe. I could be wrong. Yeah, you can blame us for the glizzies, but I might as well. I might as well.
I was like, sir,
I might as well. But damn, that doesn't look good on camera. But I know this nigga. But if we look back on ancient times, I had to give this place a shout out. Shout out to Cahokia Mounds.
Oh yeah, man.
And this was a mega city for back in the day when the natives were taking care of their land, still their land. We're all indigenous at this point, but I'm here to share the land. I'm not here to conquer anything. I'm here to share amongst its people. And I think shamanism is another gateway to bringing recognition to those people, because Native American culture is shamanism. They're synonymous. You can't really take that away from each other.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of energy when it comes to the Midwest, specifically St. Louis, when it comes to the Arch, the Cardinals dynasty, Forest Park, the zoo. We have a lot of free activities here. We have those spiritual stomping grounds of the mega city of back in the natives. We have a bunch of artists that came out here. We have a great basketball scene. We have a good football scene. We have a good baseball scene. But one thing I'm noticing is that the pro industries, whether it be pro baseball, hockey, and a lot of other big name industries, have kind of been, at least in the entertainment, have been kind of falling flat. And I think that's a sign where new things are coming to pass here in St. Louis, whether if it's in the arts of music or in film. And I was talking to Trey Don this morning. Shout out to Trey Don Inspires, man. Well, I'll get you back on the podcast here soon. Tap in with my boy Trey Don, Neo Mystic himself. We were talking about how neo mysticism and spirituality can find a new home here in St. Louis, and how St. Louis can be a center for spiritual growth and mysticism and shamanism and whatever else you want to coin, whatever term you want to coin for that type of spirituality. It has a home here in St. Louis. I've recognized going into these different networking events and these creative events. I went to 2 yesterday and connected with a lot of people that are in tune with that, are in tune with the spirituality and creativity. Because I feel like if you're in touch with your spiritual journey, you're also in touch with your creative journey. Like it's synonymous at this point. And you're in tune to some type of art and some type of influence that is positive and that is wanting to propel others to be creative. And I feel like St. Louis is going to be a center of that. And we're going through the Renaissance and the process of shifting St. Louis from an old viewpoint, an old perspective of danger, crime, shootings, negativity, towards something of positive creativity, balance, harmony, love. And St. Louis is definitely the home for that. We can do that. And
Absolutely.
people like you and I, different collectives like Truly Gifted and Word Up is a great place as well. I just want to just give random shout outs, shout out Word Up and being a center of creatives coming together and also showing hospitality as well, like true hospitality, not booing anybody. Even if it wasn't somebody's best work, we always respect people. We welcome everybody with open arms and understand that even if you bomb one night, later on down the line, you could be the best among us. Mm-hmm. And you have to bomb sometimes. It's a learning experience. So I'm very excited to see where St. Louis goes from here. And
you only go up.
Exactly. But the path of going up, that's going to be interesting.
I wasn't even concerned about the path or what it looks like. You just know it's going, and you just
do your part.
Yeah, you just do your part. Yes, and the rest is a distraction if you allow it to become a distraction. But hey, you just lock in and know where it's going, and you just do your part.
Yeah, man. L.A., New York, the South has L.A., New York, and Atlanta, I feel like have really dominated the last 30, 40 years. I mean, even longer than that, especially when you think about New York and LA, especially New York. New York has always been a mega center. But to put St. Louis in that rotation and even on the top of that can be insane. And St. Louis is like one thing, if you're from St. Louis, you know this. You know the certain areas that have materialized to be divided. Like if you're from St. Louis, you know about the Del Mar Divide. If you're from Webster, you know about the Red Line community that is Bell Park, right in the middle of the region.
Right.
So like there's obvious, and also over here on the south side, if you go south of Gravois, here on the South Grand area, it can get a little nasty. If you go north from that, then you're in gentrification town, pretty much. So the divide is becoming so noticeable, and we're fed up with that. We don't want to be part of a narrative that's trying to be pushed to divide people. St. Louis is starting to wake up and use our talents, use our consciousness, and our God-given abilities and these ideas that come straight from the source to bring people back to the source. Absolutely. Which starts with bringing us together in the community.
Absolutely. And if you kind of peep game, there's a lot of people actually moving back home to St. Louis or to St. Louis.
Yeah. And it's just getting expensive everywhere else too.
Yeah. And it's actually becoming more of a likable city for people, or, for their own reasonings or dealings to be here. But St. Louis is definitely a growing city, and, more so somewhere where it does allow space for those creative endeavors, for more sense of community. And not just this sense of this corporate idea of what a city ought to be. And so within that, again, we got. That's something that St. Louis always has said. And so, we are taking back our city in the most grand and the most beautiful way. And so, hey, I'm here for it all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And one thing I have to say before we move on to another topic is, do not come into the city trying to gentrify it completely and push out one of the most important, if not the most important aspect, which is Black culture in St. Louis. It's huge. Like there's and I think it's like a damn near a firm divide in that as well. It's 50-50, where it's mostly Black and white. I don't think it's as firm 50-50, obviously, but it's well known that Black culture has a hand here in St. Louis.
Absolutely.
And we can go back into the 20s here on the East Side. You know, as much some people don't want to consider the East Side part of St. Louis, it has St. Louis in the title. It just has an East with it. So it's just like, I get it. It's in Illinois, but those are our brothers and sisters as well. We got to treat it as such. A lot of those buildings that are in downtown East St. Louis are still standing from the riots in the 20s. I have brought it up on my podcast on numerous occasions. And we should not, and same thing if you go on to the North City just looks like a wreck. Some parts of South City looks like a wreck. And it's not fair to these young babies. It's not fair to the young Black children for the most part, you know, children in general, but young Black children, especially, it's becoming so obvious for me because I grew up in the county. I grew up in St. Louis County. I grew up in Webster Groves, Afton, South Side, South County area. And obviously we don't really have any of those problems, honestly. Like, everything is just a lot more hospitable. You don't see vacant properties all over the place. There are some, of course. I mean, and most of that is catered towards the pandemic, because the pandemic is just another ploy, just ripping out small businesses, Black-owned businesses. That's a whole podcast in itself. I know next time we can really go deeper on the conspiracy theories for sure.
Absolutely. That's a whole nother
yeah, but I wanted to make something. I wanted to make this episode a little more meaningful, and also just like talk about everything that you've been through, because again, this is a full circle moment. But
absolutely,
yeah, we gotta really tend to these communities that these kids wake up and they see these homes. Shout out to Roro the storyteller for being one of the people that really grew up in those communities, spent time in prison, and still sees those communities damaged and not fixed and not tended to. He really point the finger and also gave me a lot more conscious awareness on the situation that we have here in St. Louis in terms of an obvious ploy of destabilizing the Black community and its areas in which we live. And it's so noticeable. Like I said, the divides are so noticeable. If you're from St. Louis, you know it, you see it, you can practically give me the exact locations of all these divides. Del Mar is just the start of it. And through this renaissance, I see better days coming for us. It's already happening. And when we uplift those communities, just think of how powerful St. Louis would be if North City had the same type of outlook, as the same type of care, the same type of awareness that a Creve Coeur gets, or a Ladue, or even a Webster Groves, or even an Afton as well.
Well, I think we ought to go back and look at history and figure out why those different parts of St. Louis became what they are, and figure out where they came from. And that's where you're able to start to really back in and address what the issue is for these particular areas, and to actually add some sense of aid to whatever it is. So every area probably has its own particular issues and reasonings, and so you just got to address the issue at hand. And so it won't be the same everywhere. It may be something over here that made it a community like that.
Yeah, something, it may be systematic. It may be our own battles within the Black community. It may be trauma that is continuing to be resurfaced and projecting out on the external reality. So I definitely agree with that. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're all good. You're all good. But all the more, hey man, St. Louis really is a gorgeous place. I think a big part of being away from home, I came to realize I became homesick, just off the strength that I'm like, oh snap. You know, the sense of, I wouldn't even say Southern hospitality, more so common courtesy is something that, you know, you're able to get here in St. Louis or in Missouri in general versus, you know, in other places I've been. Like, people will actually look you in the face and be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And be ready to figure out how you doing. and have a conversation. And, you know, in Arizona, you know, people are just moving so fast, didn't really care about how the next person is doing, and not much of a sense of community. And I was like, I kind of realized, you know, the appreciation that I have for, you know, St. Louis, the more time I was away from it. And so coming back here, you know, take those things and grow upon those things, because, you know, it's still, the state and condition of it is not where it can absolutely be. But, you know, you take what you have and you keep on using that to make it better. And so that's definitely the direction that we're heading. And honestly, since being back, I kind of realized how much more docile this city is in comparison to when I was last year.
Bro,
and when I was here before that, and it was like, it's becoming way less of a city that people don't want to be a part of. Now it's like the pride of being from St. Louis is actually starting to be able to come to life, simply because it's like less of those things that were making it a city that we did want to be a part of. And honestly, when it comes down to it, it's leadership. It's more leadership that we're seeing here. People are taking their experiences and leaving St. Louis, you know, or still being here in St. Louis, but taking their experiences from life and allowing that to grow through them, and, you know, kind of stretch them in different directions, to be able to come to realize that, you know, as I come back to what I know, I'm able to actually pour that into my environment. The thing is, we're always doing something into our environment. We're always pouring something into our environment. So within that, it's like, are you being more toxic to your environment, or are you adding more nurture into your environment? And regardless, you're adding something more to it. So you have to be able to, you know, in this life, you know what your input and output is, and how that actually does reflect to, you know, the spaces that you're in. And so again, like I said, this is not the same St. Louis that I originally saw, was a part of. It's completely different at this point in time. And so within that, I'm like, this is something that's you know, in another 10, 15 years is going to be something like, oh, wow, I never thought it'd be like this growing up. And so, yeah, I'm grateful to be a part of the city that I'm from, you know, and be back home. And, you know, who knows, I may not decide to be here for another 10, 15 years, but I definitely will always be a part of St. Louis and have a St. Louis a part of me, because I'm a traveler, I'm a goer, and so I'll come and go and whatnot. But I definitely tell you for sure, I'll make sure St. Louis home is a part of my itinerary. For sure.
And if y'all are trying to get in touch with networking events and certain events that are going on in St. Louis, because I didn't know of them at a certain point, and now I recognize that every weekend, there's something great going on. There's some art convention or communion happening in some way, shape, or form. No, I'm just playing. Yeah. So definitely hit me up if you guys are trying to find those spaces of community and grow in terms of spiritually, artistically, and this, that, and the third. So,
Absolutely.
But it is Super Bowl Sunday. The Super Bowl does start here soon. I got a dinner to catch and a game to catch. Halftime show, to be honest. But you got a game to catch as well. So before we go, I know you're still getting your bearings here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
2025. What does 2025 for Ozzie Wheeler look like?
Well, a lot of things, you know. I didn't want to necessarily get here and hit the ground running.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely needed some healing. And to take things slow, learn with a fresh set of eyes about this, you know, this environment, this space that I feel like I said I'm newly a part of, again. But it's not the same St. Louis that I originally was a part of. And so I'm not the same man, not the same person. So coming back here and being slow to figure out to pay attention to see what's going on and figure out how I can be a part of, a part of the solution, a part of the growth. And obviously, being in a space of sharing wisdom, that's going to be something I do wherever I go. And so starting with sharing a book, doing different workshops when it comes to opening up more conversations and topics, eventually doing some consulting as a shaman.
Book signing.
I have a book signing coming up soon, as well as some keynote speaking, motivational speaking. And so finding different platforms to be able to use my voice, use my sense of leadership in a way that it can be very helpful and conducive to the community. And for me, like I said, a lot of it is about, my ploy is, and I didn't bring it up earlier, but besides the protection and support of women, children. And
the youth.
I have a couple children's books that
Sure.
when the time is right, I'll do some community outreach so we can be able to get some different new ideals out there when it comes to the support of the children, because at this point in time, it's their world and we're just living in it. So we have to make sure we prepare in a way that is conducive to their plans and their efforts, because guys are going to put a different plan in those children than he put in us. And so, but it's also based off of how we're moving and how we're taking care of this.
They're carrying where we left off.
Exactly. And so, how I'm able to just kind of be a part of the whole shebang of this new sense of growth and community, and how I'm able to bring in more growth and community. So yeah, right now it's just using my voice, and just sharing wisdom and understanding, and also holding space for others to be able to bring out those. One, to be able to find a sense of healing, and then to be able to bring out those different things that's within them that is also meant to be brought into this world, brought into the city. And so, yeah, just each one teach one. Indeed.
I'm looking forward for a special 2025. This is going to be the first year that we've spent together.
Yeah, for sure. And we definitely got some things
for a while
that, I think met bro, and we were, as soon as I met bro, we were pretty cool. I was like, damn, should have met bro a long time ago. Definitely a brother in the spirit.
Happens when it needs to.
Yeah, for sure. All love there. And then so being in the same space at a different point in our life where we're both able to approach the fight of life in a way that is actually conducive versus just conducive being my word today. I would say
you're going crazy right now.
I would say then there was a lot more planning, talking about it. And now we're in the space of actually doing.
Yeah, action.
And so, action. And so
Full
within that, absolutely. So within that is now like two powerhouses linking. Up and doing a damn thing, bro. And so, we're definitely going to be able to bring more love, bring more light, more truth, authenticity, and respect to our city. And because we deserve it, and it's about damn time we do so.
Yes, sir. Well, y'all know what the word is. Mine is mine. Here to help pave a new path to evolutionary elevation of consciousness, like we talked about. Oh yeah. We got to put the shades on for this one, ladies and gentlemen. St. Louis can be a very, very beautiful place. It is a very beautiful place, and it is going to be an epicenter for a new renaissance of evolution of consciousness, using creativity to better the community, no matter what community it is, and uplift the city with love, with compassion, and I'm not going to just say hope. I'm going to say knowing. It's inevitable.
Not gonna lie, these shits are dark.
I mean, it's dark too, but hey, I'm gonna keep it on because it's my time to shine on the outro.
I feel it.
But yeah, man, continue to stay tuned to what's going on here on Mine is Mine. Continue to stay tuned with what Ozzie has coming out. I know there's plenty of books. I know we have an idea for a children's book. I'm not going to go too in depth on that. But yeah, man, if you feel that you need to get out into the community, please let me know. I know a lot of different events that are going on that are coming up. St. Louis has plenty. Let's not make any excuses going forward. 2025, the word is integrity. The word is integrity. Keep that integrity. Don't let anything or anyone take you away from that sense of integrity. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to what you stand for, because again, if you don't stand for anything, you're willing to fall for everything. So let's stay true to ourselves. Let's stay true to what St. Louis can and will be and what it deserves to be. And that's a higher state of consciousness, whether if you explore that through your spiritual mediums, your creative mediums, or just having a heart at heart like we just did. So any last words, my brother?
Yes. Thank you for having me on the podcast. 20 episodes in.
See.
And I'm episode 20, so I'm grateful for it. And hey, yeah, thanks for giving me a platform to be a part of, to voice, who I am, and how I'm moving in life. And I'm definitely very grateful for it, and definitely will be more to come. And hey, man, it's just the beginning. And so once you win that award for best podcast host and podcast of the year, I'm gonna say I told you so. You really like that. And we've had this conversation for some years, and bro know what it is. He's gonna bring some great things into this world, and so as long as he just keeps doing that, and so I'll just be that one in the cut to say I told you so. You got it. You got it.
I appreciate that, and my future self appreciates you as well. But also, I don't want to leave here without you telling us, how can we keep in contact with you? How can we? No,
I'm not gonna give you.
What's your social security number? What?
For sure. So, you can hit me on Instagram at remove your limits, or you can just type in my name, Ozzie Wheeler.
Wheel with an ER.
Yeah, like an 18-wheeler, bro. Just keep it simple. But also you can find my book at your local Barnes and Noble. Or you can also order it off of Amazon. If you're not into reading, you can definitely buy it on Kindle, and you can listen to it as an audiobook. Other than that, if you would like, some consulting, you can also reach me at an email. I'll give the email to Houston, and we'll leave that in the description. And other than that, that's how you're able to reach me.
Yes, sir. Episode 20, y'all. Ozzie Wheeler, Houston Himes, Mine is Mine podcast. Vote for the Mine is Mine podcast. Vote Truly Gifted. St. Louis, we coming. Just know St. Louis is
pausable moment.
Yep. How did you know that was?
It just felt like a pausable moment.
Y'all know what it is, man. It's love. Peace.